Good evening and welcome to Investigator News. And I'm your host, Elly. And we have Larry coming up pretty soon. And we got William and let me give you an update on my health, folks. I have an aorta aneurysm and I'm going to have heart surgery in the next couple weeks. It's going to be real touch and go on shows after I have the surgery done. But I don't plan on quitting just yet. The truth and news is out there, and I'm not ready to quit. I'm not a quitter, huh, William? And
No.
me and Williams talked it over, and I'm gonna do what I can, and I'm gonna think on this and maybe take the show to the hospital. I don't know. Um, I'm just gonna play it by ear. Now, the next few weeks will be very light on the news since the doctors warned me that I will get worse over the next couple weeks. So, we're not going to have the straight line of shows day to day. We will have shows when I can have the strength to do them. All right. So, um, this border thing, folks, this border invasion, it's an invasion. When we have cities is being taken over by MS-13, when we have stats like what we're seeing coming into this country of the people we know that are getting in, and they say then times it by two, and when you do that, it's alarming. When we know that hundreds of terrorists are coming in our country, and what are they doing here? Now, the Biden administration and press secretary say the border is secure. Mayorkas says it. Everyone says it. Kirby says it. The border's secure. As they fight to get rid of security at these border check-ins, they want them open. How can the border be secure if they're trying to get rid of it? Now, and they're also saying, oh, if they can't swim across the river, then it's cruel. It's cruel. And my friend out of Tijuana, and she says, you would not believe the amount of deaths they see of migrants trying to swim across. And and of course, they need to bring a child. And most of the time, they lose the child and come to find out they have no relation to the child. Um, and so, there was 3,200 migrant encounters in December, the highest month ever recorded for the CBP. More people on the FBI terror watch list in December, bring the total of 50 arrests just for this year so far. 50 arrests. These are terrorists that's trying to get into our country. And now the showdown at the Texas border escalating. Now, Texas is doing everything, and they have a right to protect their borders. The other thing they have a right to do is say nobody outside this country should be buying farmland or property, which they're allowing in other states. When did we start allowing um, um, other countries to buy land in our country, like China, North Korea, and Russia? All three have been found to have been buying farms, not only farms, but places they could put businesses up in. Now, and the Democrats are putting up a big old fight. So is 26 Republicans. Why? What's their reasoning? I think the reasoning is the same is what we hear every day. The border's secure. Well, no, it's not. Oh, yeah, it is. But then why are you fighting to tear it down? And then there is a place called the Colony, I guess, in Texas, close to um, El Paso, I believe, that is hoarding. They're doing like they did Whitewater here, folks. So when we had Whitewater here, what they do is they get a plot of land and they sell it to people that they know they can't afford it. They put them in cheap housing. Then once they can't pay for it, then they come in and repossess it. So that's the other thing they're doing in Texas. And hello to Mary. Good to see you, Mary. Um, if you didn't catch the beginning, you might catch my health issues and what we're going to plan on doing. So, um, so what we seen was first it was Abbott that sent a letter to the Biden administration saying that no, they weren't going to. Um, um, they were going to um, with Congress and Senate, they were going to try to keep the laws in place. Well, when they got before the Supreme Court, then we seen the Supreme Court drop the ball. Then what we see? Um, then it was the letter that Abbott with 25 governors wrote to the Biden administration saying no, they had a right to that every state has a right to protect its border. And that's what they swear to. Now, I have heard so many times, and this is so misinformation. And when I sat back and I watched it, go back and watch it on YouTube of what Biden swears to. He swore in to uphold the Constitution. That's it. He did not swear in to protect the border. The vice president did. Why? And that is the reason why we made her the czar. Well, she's a failure, but she supposedly swore in that if to protect our borders from enemy or anybody that was going to have harm. William, did you know that he didn't swear into it to protect our country? Now, some presidents do, some don't.
Well, they swear to protect the Constitution. This is in the Constitution Bill of Rights, so it's malfeasance at the very least. So policy can't trump constitutional law, and they're saying, well, it can if it's us because we need the votes, whatever.
Mm-hmm. And so we are looking at now 26 Republican have sided with the Democrats. Now, Larry will be in a little bit to talk about Carrie Lake, what she's uncovered. More and more, we're starting to see these rhinos. The rhino like Asa Hutchinson that I tried to warn everybody about, that he was not a true Republican. He was a Democrat. Switch parties to take the governorship to be able to keep China, and come to find out to keep China in our state. And I went looking for what for. It's to keep the drugs moving. Iran Contra and the whole boys on the track and the drugs and all of that. It's never quit. They just moved everybody around. What was it, William?
So if the Democrats do the Democratic Party, they can have X amount of seats. But if the Democrats do the Democrat and the Republican Party, they can have a lot more. And so they're just surreptitiously filling in the Republican Party.
Yeah. And see, a lot of people think, oh, the Republican Party went rogue. I don't think it went rogue as much as the Democrats got smart.
Hmm.
Oh, Larry says he needs an invite. I sent it to you on your phone message, Larry. Um, mm,
You want me to jump off?
no. Larry, did you look in your phone messages? I didn't put it through a Facebook. I put it through your phone message. You should be able to hit it, and you should be able to get right in. Let's wait, and we'll see. If not, then we'll move stuff around to get him in. Um, okay, he says he has it. There we go. So soon as he we get him in, then we'll have oh boy. It looks like William, you might have the big head tonight. William is going to have the big head. Uh, uh, so what we're looking at is then they threaten to send the feds in now to take out the National Guard. Well, I think Biden is really starting to think about it and change his mind on it due to um, I think he doesn't want to see what is it, National Guard against National Guard, and the ones that are the feds that are showing up. I watched it right before I came in the show, and the federal that are the feds that are coming in are shaking hands and are very cordial with the National Guard that's there, and that's at El Paso. Now, what got me is they're letting everybody, they got a closed gate and they're opening and shutting it and they're checking people as they come through. And it's very secure. Well, Biden don't like that. Why? He wants it removed. Why? Well, I thought it was a secure place for those coming in. Now, the other thing is the Red Cross. We have the Red Cross. We have Catholic Charities. I don't think I'm just picking on the Catholics. And then we have other organizations that are paying for these migrants, knowing they're going to be sex trafficked, human trafficked, knowing that the fentanyl is coming into our country. Yet they have this knowledge, and yet they're still supporting them all the way through South America, through Panama, through Mexico, and even handed them over to the cartels. So they know about it and they're okay with it. And, I'm like, oh my God, Red Cross or Catholic Charities. What are you guys thinking? It's okay to do this?
So,
And
how
go
does
ahead.
Red Cross and Catholic Charities and rape trees all get together and be okay?
I think because of the money they're making off the feds. You got to remember when you go to donate to any organization, um, most of the time they get 75% of your donation. So the more people they get to donate and hook, line, and sinker on, the bigger money that they make.
I think we should get rid of the Red Cross and bring people in and man those positions within the National Guard, so we still have medical available, but we have better control, and it's not a public-private partnership. That's the problem, is you got these public-private partnerships that are freelancing, and we need more control over our federal dollars.
Yeah, yeah. And it's our government. They're using our. Get this. I think they were saying it was 8 million It could be billion. $8 million it cost Texas to cover the migrants coming into the country. And they're going to raise their taxes, their state taxes, and their federal taxes to cover this. So we're covering it. So the folks, the question is that I want to put forth to everybody. When I seen that there was 700 truckers that were heading to the border, would you be willing to do it? Would you be willing to go down and fight? If they gave you a gun and said, here, you sit right here, are you going to do it? Well, not very many people will. They're willing to mouth, but not willing to go to the border. And there's Larry. Let's throw him in here with us too. Okay. Let's see. Uh, there we go. Now, Larry, me and Larry are the small heads, and William's a big head. So, hi, Larry. So this is what I'm looking at is if you are you will Mary's in here, and some others. Are you willing to go to the border and fight for a country if we go to a civil war with the cartel? Not very many people are going to do it. Not very many are going to do it. William, what do you think? And I'm going to throw you in there next. And hi, Larry. Larry, can we hear? Can you hear us?
I'm getting feedback.
Okay, let me. Okay, is that better? Are we better now?
It's like it's to turn my volume down here.
Yeah, you might try yours. I've turned sometimes mine going down a little bit will help. So you might try that as William is talking. So and we have hi to Larry. So William, well, let me see what I got. Pretty much, I think I've went over thing except for Zero Hedge. The Davos, the dictators met behind closed doors, and they really want to wreak havoc and threats to our democracy, and want to do away with natural gas. That's their next thing they've decided on. No more natural gas. We are only going to buy small amounts, it looks like, from Colombia of for petro gas. And they're going to cut out all the fracking. They're going to, and they said it would save our country until 2030, because that's our deadline. We're all going to die in 2030. And that's what they're still preaching. So 2030 is the big day when we go to Davos and see what happens next. I bet you they got another 8 years on it and said we're all going to die in 2038. All right, William, I'm going to turn this over to you. So
Larry have something he wants to say?
Well, if Larry wants to do the Carrie Lake report.
Well, yeah, I'll just jump in when ask me a question and I'll answer it.
Well, so, now with the Carrie Lake, we'll go ahead and we'll get this going. There was a tape. Now, I don't know why she sat on it for so long, except for maybe she forgot about it, or we are seeing bribes and blackmail and really bad politics on both sides, to the point where we're looking at corrupt Republicans. And that's what she brought out with this tape. Now, I didn't look much into it. And Larry, you wrote out a thing and put it on our Facebook that just sums it all up.
Yeah, it's basically what Carrie Lake said was that she wasn't going to accept any money, and it just shows. I should go out to that site and just read it. Let me see.
Yeah. Well, the thing with it, Larry, is this is what I've known all along with the Clintons, because that's what they did here.
Uh-huh.
And it's if they can get you to a hotel they have set up with cameras, and these are politicians, and they can
Mhm.
hook you up with a hooker, or the lady of the night. And they do this at Davos because of 326 call people, because it was women and men, um, were paid to go into Davos. And you got to wonder, it's just, to me, it's an ungodly amount for having over 300 prostitutes and um, service people, hosts, I guess. And what they do is they're going to try to catch them. And not only that, but they call them up and they try to record them and catch them in something that they could use for later. And I think that's why we see so many of not only just Democrats, but Republicans, they shut down. It's like, um, there's a bill coming up to the floor, and all of a sudden you see two people talking, and all of a sudden we got Republicans going, I give. And I've seen that. And
Well,
and I
that's
think that,
because of the uniparty. There isn't two parties in our system. There's only one, and they
do you
call.
think that's what happened to McCarthy? I know that's what happened to Mitch McConnell, but McCarthy, he failed on us. It was like once he got behind closed doors, it was like, well, now I'm going to side with him. And now
Well,
we got this new one
you
that
have to
just did the
understand
same
that
thing.
you have to understand that there's a deep state, okay, and that deep state is Republican and Democrat. It's there.
Mhm.
There is no two party system, and they all have and the deep state has an agenda to bring down the United States, and that's just basically what it is.
Yeah. And me and William has always talked about this, that over with the World Economic Forum. And the World Economic Forum just wants no walls, no boundaries, and that every country should be equal.
Well, it's more of a spiritual battle than it is a political one, and so
Right. Yes. Yes. I have to agree with
this
you,
is
Larry, on that with
you
Israel,
have
the
to
Middle East.
you have to wrap your head around transhumanism, and then you'll get an insight on what's really going on.
Now I know you went to I'm gonna say it was Steve Quayle and the transhumanism.
Actually, it was Tim Alberino.
Oh, was it Tim Amberino? Okay. And he is one that really goes really far with this, and he's been on David Hodges' show. And me and Mary, I like keep in touch with Dave Hodges. I just need to get on his show more, to give some info that he might need from me. But this is, you have to look at what the Muslims are saying, and the Muslims are saying this is the spiritual war that's been spoken and written about for thousands of years. And then I don't know if everybody knew, but Joe Biden quietly met up in Dearborn, Michigan, with Muslims in a quiet meeting just in the last couple days. William, did you know about that?
I had heard he'd gone up north, but I didn't know that he had a special meeting. I thought it was just a rally.
Let's see.
I just hadn't studied it, Ellie. I mean, if you're saying that, I have no.
Okay, quietly. Biden was very nervous, they said, on a campaign, quietly visits Michigan to appease Muslim voters angry over the Israel policies. And it said that they've been setting this up for about a month to meet with local Democrat officials across the nations. But the biggest one was to meet with the Democrat Muslims to let him know that he still shows support for the Muslim nation. and that he's only has to do what he is doing with Israel to appease the other 50% of the country. So
so that he get his funding bill through.
yeah, so and that was through Red State. That was a Red State article that came out. And Just the News had it with John Solomon. And that's where I kind of caught it. And I just kind of set it aside. Oh, my days are so messed up since Wednesday. So, so that's what he did. So he, going back to what me and Larry's talking about with this rhino and these bad players in politics. That's why I'm gonna throw this out there, folks. Nikki Haley is a rhino, folks. If you haven't seen it over the last couple days, she one of her speeches I compared to an Asa Hutchinson speech, and it was almost word for word. And I went, oh, good grief. Yeah. And she's also been getting money from the DNC. So don't go there with her. Don't. I hate to be the, kick you in the shins and burst your bubbles, but no, she's not the right one to put in. She's just like Asa and a few others that are keep voting with the Democrats. The only way we're going to get our country back is if we vote right for 2024. So, Larry, anything else with you before we turn you and William loose?
I'll give you what I put out on Kari Lake. So the fact that the establishment is attempting to bribe Kari Lake into leaving politics is the endorsement that all the endorsement that Kari needs. This proves that Kari's over the target. And listen to what she had to say in response. And here's what she said. You can't buy me. I wouldn't take $1 million. I wouldn't take 10 million. I wouldn't take 20 million. I wouldn't take $1 billion. Our country is on the line right now. The future of our country, our children's future is on the line right now. We've got to stop being ruled by the almighty dollar. Washington, D.C. is afraid of people who will stand up for we the people. And basically, we the people is not the political party. You got a Democrat and you got a Republican, and then you got real voters who are we the people. And so you got to get off of the Democrat and the Republican train and get on the we the people train, because there is no Republican or Democrat. They're all one party.
Yeah.
So, but anyway, yeah, stand up for we the people. And that's why when they are always constantly going after President Trump, he's a threat to Washington, D.C., and he's a threat to the corrupt system. The people need to know what is happening in politics and government. We need to clean this mess up. It is a filthy swamp. It's not just D.C., it's in state capitals across the country. The people are weary and tired. And they want some straight shooters and ethical people to represent them. I don't care if that corruption is on the left or the right. We've got to root it out. For someone who tries to bribe me, it's almost laughable. I walked away from my career, a seven-figure contract, because I didn't want to do propaganda, because that's what the news has become. So that's what she basically said. And if you listen to any mainstream media, that's all you're getting is propaganda, nothing else.
Yeah. So, that Operation Mockingbird that came out, Dad told me about that, Larry. And he was the one that pointed out to me, and he was very disappointed in even 60 Minutes, because he was big 60 Minutes. And when he started hearing it and noticed it, he was very disappointed. He started being very picky to what news he was really watching. That's what we have to get to today, because William, you said something earlier about the news, about all of it just being propaganda.
So thing is we have to realize this is standard operating procedure. What happened to Kerry Lake all over the world. Okay, this is just basic. If you've ever read the Confessions of an Economic Hitman, they're using all the same tactics, except for instead of multinational corporations or corporate raiding like these hedge funds do, well, they're using it against people that are running for office, right? And if we don't continually root out this sort of behavior, it will infiltrate in from the rest of the world. So you can never take that off your mind. It has to be in the back of your mind, everything you're doing in the government, that you're also in the middle of this internecine war with other governments by other means, and they're using all these tactics that have been learned over time. And that's how kings and queens maintain their power. That's how dictators maintain their power. That's how theocrats maintain their power. Communists maintain their power. They always use these kinds of tactics, and it's bled into the government. It's become very obvious. So I just thought I'd share with you that. And then,
William, we might have to throw the solar panels in the harbor. You know, we did the Boston Tea Party, and the only thing I could think of is with their solar panels.
You might just be witnessing the Boston Tea Party down in Texas.
I think that's why my thing is the invasion of the border. Are we going to go into a civil war? Because I know Abbott will he'll succeed. I know he will.
What I want to point out and try to make everybody clearly understand is that we are at war. There's no.
It's what me and William said. World War III. We're at World War III.
No, this is an information war. They're trying to start a kinetic war, but this is an information war that we're on. Currently, there is nobody telling us the truth. Not the good guys, not the bad guys. In a war situation, nobody's going to tell you or try to signal what their plan is. And so everybody is getting disinformation, and you got to put on your discernment hat, use the Holy Spirit or whatever mechanism you use to discern, and you're going to have to try your absolute best to pick out the truth out of the information you are receiving, because none of it is absolutely true. Nobody's telling us the truth. 90% of the work is being done behind the scenes, and some of the results that you're seeing is people not running for office and things like that. People resigning their positions, just like the GOP person there in Arizona that was trying to bribe Kerry Lake. He resigned. And go out and check all the resignations. There's been thousands of resignations, but it's not being reported. There's a lot of stuff just being done behind the scenes, and you got to have trust. I say I lean in on God and not my own understanding. I believe God's got a pretty good control of what's going on, and so there is going to be this year. You're going to see the wheels of justice move forward. And saying that the wheels of justice are moving forward, I'm not saying that people are going to go to trial and they're going to hang people and stuff like that. Justice is bringing everything that they've done to light, like indicting a person and things like that. There's going to be a lot of that going on this year. And along with that, I don't think there's going to be an election. I get
that feeling too. I think they're going to go to war. I think they're pushing us to war to where he can
America's in for a near-death experience. And when I say that, and you say war, Terry, I'm pretty sure they're going to try to get to kinetic war to the point of being nuclear, but I don't think that's going to happen. But when I say that America is going to experience a near-death experience, that near-death experience is going to be different for each individual. Some people, it's going to be a families dying for a particular reason, if you understand
Mhm.
what I'm saying. And there's going to be economic problems. There's going to be job problems. There's going to be immigration problems. There's going to be border problems, and
Mhm.
everybody's going to be impacted differently. But it's going to be a severe impact on our lives.
Yeah. And I think everybody's going
Yeah.
to have this choice of this way or that way. Is the
The,
good or the bad?
the deep state wants to get Trump out of the way so they can get to us. That's Trump's just in the way. That's all. And so they're doing any and everything they can. There's no legality in anything they're doing against Trump. So they're pulling out all the stops, and they're going to have uh, false flags. They're going to have more shootings. People coming
Mhm.
across the border. Um, we don't know if they have weapons already staged for these people, or we don't know anything. You know, and so
Larry, what gets me is they say that MAGA, okay, the mainstream media said, if you are part of MAGA, make America great again, you're a terrorist. What's wrong with making America great again?
We're actually not, Ellie, because we know that if we go into a kinetic civil war, the people lose. So
Yeah.
MAGA is really the peacemakers right now. Is the glue holding the country together, while these other folks are trying to destabilize not only this country but the world at large.
Mhm.
And so when you have the instability, when you're involved in information warfare, you never give the information to your enemy, right?
right.
In advance. So they're trying to hide everything in every direction and move behind the scenes. I call this like coat closet government, right? Where the two lawyers step in the coat closet and make a deal before they go into court, the prosecution and the defense, and the 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 defendant doesn't know about it. The judge doesn't know it's coming, but they've worked it out together, right? And that's what we're seeing is these coat closet deals, and we have to get out of that. It has to be stuff that's out in the open for everybody to see, because we simply cannot trust anybody right now.
We have we
The planet
have
to
a
be stabilized.
we have a
We
historical
have to
process.
recognize it for what it is.
We have a historical process that has taken place that we can take a look back and see. One of the things that I always did in the military was once we got to a certain point, I would have a Delta meeting so that we can look back what went right, what went wrong, what can we do to change it to make it better. But you don't always just keep going forward. Every now and then you got to stop, look back, and check out what's happened and and take the good parts and work with it, and take the bad parts and don't do those things anymore. And so, uh, looking back, you have to realize that um, there was a point in time when Obama fired, I think it was about 197 um, Patriot generals. Let's put it that way.
Mhm.
And after he did that, there was a couple days later when Trump came down the escalator running for president. And so Trump has been groomed and requested to run for president and be the face to trying to get rid of the socialist country that we have today and not go to democracy. We want to get our constitutional republic back. And that's we the people. We want our constitutional republic back. And so the things that are being accomplished behind the scenes is the process by which they're accomplishing that. My understanding, for the most part, um, it's and military has to be the only way, but the military is hesitant to take any real action until they got the American people behind them. And so, what we're witnessing today and what's going on now is the exposure of all the things that the deep state and these corrupt individuals are doing in the education system, in the law enforcement and judicial and political. All these things are being exposed now. And that's where I talked about this year is going to be the year of justice. You're going to start seeing some of these indictments come out to try to put a hold or a pause on a lot of the activities that are going on now. And the intent for the good guys is that they get the American people behind them and understanding what corruption is going on. And if once they get to a certain percentage, then the military feels comfortable in moving forward because the military doesn't run our country. The military replies and takes instructions from the civilian government. And so the military is really uncomfortable about doing a coup or something like that. What they want is we, the people, in order to form a more perfect union, establish justice, ensure domestic tranquility, we have a contract with our politicians to do what we want them to do. And the military is one of the stopgaps in order to bring that to the American people. But the military is not comfortable unless they have the American people behind them. And so, a lot of the exposure you're witnessing now is to try to wake the American people up so they can get enough Americans behind them so that when the government gets so bad that you can replace them, but they have to have the American people come to that conclusion so the military can do it for them.
Yeah.
All of the wars we've been involved in since Vietnam, except for like Desert Storm, the American people have lost interest in the war before we were able to complete it.
Yeah.
On each and every war. And that was in Vietnam. We could have won Vietnam if we'd bombed another 3 days. In Linebacker 2. Lots of numbers of times when we could have won, but the American people were tired. Korea was one of those. Vietnam was one of those. Afghanistan was one of those. Iraq was one of those. And so the military is very leery of this now because they go in and invest their heart, soul, blood, and national treasure, and it leaves them with a very bad taste in their mouth when all that they've done turns out to be for naught. Now, on the other hand, that is part of the civilian control of our military through Congress, right? So it's a checks and balance.
Yes.
But Larry's right. Until the American people are all lining up for the military to solve a problem, the military is going to be very reticent to step forward.
Yeah. That's right.
And boy, lost my train of thought. I'm getting old, I guess. But we have to remember that. Oh, you and I have taken an oath, William, to defend our country against all enemies, foreign and domestic. And so the military has caught what's going on with the election and everything else. And I don't know. Have you guys heard about the watermarks on ballots?
I think I heard something about it, but I forgot what it's about.
Okay, what they did was starting in the 2018 elections, they started pushing out watermarks on all the ballots, and so
Like they do with the money.
Huh?
Yeah,
and
like
so,
they do with the money.
So now they act. The NSA and the military actually knows what the real election counts are, and they did it with some kind of technology. I'm trying to remember it. Starts with
It's that nanoparticle ink they were using.
Yeah, but there's a technology that they use that they can identify what everybody voted on, and they feel reserved about bringing out the results of this because the people haven't voted to allow anybody to have an oversight of what they voted for. So they're hesitant to bring out the voting results because I'm trying to think of the technology. It's Gosh darn.
So how it works is they put some particles that can't be seen, and then they put a developer on it. And once the developer's on it, then you can shine a light on it and see what it is. But unless you have the proper chemical to meet that nanoparticle, you can't find anything in the paper.
But all the elections have been since I think 2018. They've used that watermark. Plus, there's some technology, and I doggone it, it's with it's like some form of quantum computing. So I'll have to.
Yeah, they also use those carbon fibers in the paper too.
It's the same way as they do the bills were.
All of the extra ballots that came in, they know which ones are valid and which ones aren't. So
yeah.
So, but they have to. I think just
because you got to have a non-corrupt system to be able to say, well, that's not going to make it. It don't have the marks.
Well, everybody.
We really do need a valid system that's not got corruption in it. Like
we have 17 different intelligence agencies, and they're not protecting the American people right now. They're spending all their time sniffing each other to see where their allegiances are gonna fall. See, because they're trying to push this towards a conflict.
Well,
but these agencies know what those counts are. Mm-hmm. They're not going to let that information go, because that's the most important litmus test that you have on the American people's psyche, is that ballot. It's better than, every demographic study or poll, whatever. That vote is incredibly powerful as far as understanding the ideas and the will of the American people. And then you apply chaos theory to that and AI, and you get different strands of thought that are percolating to the top. So then they're able to categorize which type of thought, idea, and they rank it by importance, right? And they can actually just know what the base of the American people want in general, more than the American people actually know.
The technology that they're using is called blockchain. Mm-hmm. So
people think that those big data centers are just recording stuff. They say, well, we just record everything so we know it's there. Those data centers are being used as big turbo computers. Those computers never stop resting. They're involved with every kind of computation you can imagine that a government or an intelligence agency or even infrastructure agencies, those things are busy just sucking down watts. And what do we have, like 8 of those around the country now, those mega?
Well, the biggest one of the biggest sites is in Utah.
Mm-hmm.
Right. But those aren't just for storage. They make it sound like you just put stuff on hard drives. It's not about hard drives. It's about computational power.
Well, they're utilizing quantum computing now, and blockchain was that one technology that they can know how each individual votes, and that comes off of the watermark.
Yeah.
So, and once you have that AI, your passwords all get broken down in minutes, right?
Milliseconds, yeah.
And so they're constantly crashing into each other's computers, sniffing on each other to see who's got what, and who's going to have the most power going forward. It's internecine digital warfare using both chaos theory and fractal dynamics, and then you add the fuzzy logic, right? The quantum fuzzy logic chip, and you're off to the races.
Mm-hmm. Now, the other thing I wanted to bring out was that I wish my brain would be a little better. Um, I can't recall. I'd like to go over some of the uh, things that I got on the uh, Texas thing. So
You know, Putin is saying to our allies right now that this crisis down at our border could launch a civil war.
Yeah.
Now, he's trying to gain power.
mm-hmm.
So it will be orderly because both sides have, you know, devastating weapons. No,
Yes.
when everybody's got devastating weapons, they get really polite. It won't be worked out in the courts.
Mm-hmm. Well, not only that, but we had so many with Putin and not only Putin, but North Korea and China. More of illegals come over from those countries than we had any other countries in this last, they say, in the last month since the beginning of the year. So, January. So they're seeing more come from the countries that would have bad thoughts and do bad deeds if
Well,
they were
they come
able to
over.
get
A lot
in
of
and
those
start
are
something.
our communist police, right? So they can get the Chinese people and whoever else they can find a way to control to do what they want. And then you have others that come in and they're not like that. Those are intelligence people. They're getting everything ready so that if the military has to come into the United States, that they'll have the most advantages, because you never want to go into a war where it's a fair fight, right? And so these people are spies and police. It doesn't matter what they say at the border because they can be manipulated into doing exactly those things.
I just remember what I wanted to talk about. It was about when I was doing podcasts with you guys before, I talked about trusting the plan. And for the most part, I think if you're if you have the understanding that I do, that I feel pretty confident that the good guys have already won, and they're just trying to wake up the American people. That's my understanding. But when we talk about trusting the plan, if you recall, I used to say, get out the popcorn, watch the show, and
Mm-hmm.
I feel kind of bad about that because then look at all the people, all the children that have died, all the people that have died in the process while we're quote watching a show, and maybe, and I feel kind of bad because I think that was all the wrong way to couch it. I think it is a show, but the problem is the American people aren't waking up, and
That's right.
and so
Well, Larry, I always said it's not the man, it's the plan that they have.
yes,
And pay attention to that plan.
and I
Don't,
wanted to.
don't concentrate on just
well,
a
the
candidate with these false promises or the news media with the fake news.
the point I was trying to make in trusting the plan was that both sides, the good guys and the bad guys, are using AI to go out, and they go out probably hundreds of times a day to try to figure out what's going on using an AI system to tell them, if you try this, this will happen. If you try this, that'll happen, and so both sides are using this, but the bottom line, where we're at right now, both sides are coming to the same conclusion that the good guys are going to win. Okay. And so,
well, the weight of history is against them. The pendulum's gone too far the other way, and now it's swinging back.
Mm-hmm. And that's true, William. And one of the
MAGA people realize that this is the train that's going to go down the tracks, right?
Yeah.
Because of the weight of history.
Mm-hmm.
The other folks are being dragged along, kicking and screaming because they want things to be the way it has been, because they've been, they've had a relatively good time in the last 30 years. Mm-hmm. And
this is
terrifying to their minds.
my understanding is that this isn't a 30-year deal. This is millennia problems where the Luciferian concept. If you listen, I'm biblical, so I'm going to say if you go to Genesis 3:15, when you talk about the seeds and what's going to be done to each seed. There's a satanic seed and there's a Christ seed, and those are what's at battle right now. Is the Luciferian are trying to take over the world and have it and keep, from my point of view, of course, it's to keep everybody out of heaven, and they're doing a really good job. But it's a spiritual battle that we're dealing with right now. When I talked about transhumanism, it's the Bible says, like in the day of Noah, and in the day of Noah, that's when the fallen angels came down and messed with the genome of all humans and animals, and we're pretty much in the same place now, where they've really messed up the genome of humans and animals. And I think what they're trying to do is get to a point where the humans aren't human anymore. And once they get to that point, you can't have the Constitution because you're not human. You see what I'm saying? And so there's a far deeper battle that we're fighting here. And I think that the people that are on the deep state fall into this Luciferian mindset, and they want abortions on demand. They want to give you shots that wreck your health, and they talk about putting up 20-minute cities or whatever that is, and you move there, you have nothing, and you enjoy yourself, and so they're taking all the freedoms away from everybody, just like in the days of Noah. And so there's a track that we're going down, but unless people wake up, they're going to continue on that path.
Dogs try to break it.
It's good that I bring my biblical.
There has to be a kinetic clash for this thing to settle out. When you get involved in riot control or crowd control, you don't try to arrest everybody. Mm-hmm. You just get them moving away from you, and you push them out into the alleys. You move them out, right? You get them running. You push them back into the shadows so that they can't be together and be loud and be violent. And that's how you control these big crowds. That's what will happen. These people think that they're going to be arrested, they're going to do time in jail, all this other stuff. That's not what we're interested in. We're just interested in pushing these people back to the shadows so that we can have a functioning government.
The white hats, or the good guys, have infiltrated Black Lives Matter, and they have infiltrated Antifa, and they already know who's in charge, and pretty much they already know who's who in the zoo. And they're just waiting for the point in time. That's why I say it. Look how much destruction has gone on by allowing this to happen. I'm ready for the white hats to pull the trigger and get this over with. But what they're doing is they're trying. Once they go through the indictment and arrest process, they want to make sure that they get everybody. Anybody that can start it over again. They're trying to get to a point where we recognize what's going on, and we, the people, have to stop it. I mean, Trump can stop it at the top level, but what about our local, our school boards,
that's right,
board of supervisors and everything? If they're there, they're just going to grow their way back, right? So they're in the process of finding everybody, and how
that's done is reduction in forces.
Yeah.
How that's done is going out into the community, and they're going to say, okay, well, these were the ringleaders. Let's make sure that they don't have the resources to do this again. And so you go out with like trust busting. You break corporations up and these interlocking chairmen of the boards, right?
Yes.
of these companies, so that they have to compete with each other to survive, and in doing so, it takes their power away to come and use their spiritual prowess to bring war against the people, right?
Yes. Right. And the other part is when you talk about the high level, the corporation and things like that, with the central bank, as they've been doing for decades now, is if they need money, they just print it, you know. So having money wasn't an issue to the deep state or utilizing the central bank, and so so the economies got to go. But I'd like to put my 2 cents in on the Texas thing, if that's okay.
And they talk about that we have to reduce the amount of spending to be able to fix this deficit. The truth is, they've never been able to do that.
You can't fix it. It's
the only
impossible.
thing they can do is superheat the economy.
But there's
and
no
make
way
that
possible.
deficit.
There's no way possible. You're going to have to redo the monetary system and back it by gold. They already have it backed by gold. They just haven't implemented it yet. So,
Right.
But you have to have a monetary system that has
stability in the monetary system and supercharging industrial output is how you overcome those types of deficits. It's how we did it in World War II.
I think we're at a point where you almost have to start over. There's so much debt that there's no way to work your way out of it. I mean,
well, they can't pay it off with this industrial base, but with the super industrial base, then it becomes a non-issue.
Yeah.
You could very well be right, William. I'm not well read in on that. So I just know that at the current structure, it's not possible to pay off the debt.
Yeah.
Right. That's what Reagan did after Carter, is he superheated the economy so that's when we had all these big box stores open and had those huge shelves with thousands and thousands of products above us, and you could go in and buy in bulk and all that stuff like Costco. That came from Reagan superheating the economy so he could build enough ships and build the military so that the old Soviet Union would realize we're starving for just bread and cheese, and these people have abundance that's beyond belief, right?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
It was completely demoralizing to them. That was just part of the warfare. And then we used other cultural imperatives to go in and erode the popular support they had in their country. And pretty soon, and we threatened them with weapons, so they had to create more and more weapons to counter us, and it bankrupted their economy because their economies can't function on the par with our economies because they're not adaptable.
Yeah.
And that's what we have to do again. This time we just have to do it in China.
Well, they have to replace the monetary system. So, because it's the petrodollar has zero value.
Yeah.
So, but anyway, what I'd really like to, if there's a message I want to tell everybody today, is that it's up to we the people to bring our constitutional republic back. Trump can only do so much. The army can only do so much. We the people have to step up and take the bull by the horn.
Yeah, it's like the title of the show. Will you fight for this country? It might be a small part of just maybe pushing a button, or it might be making buttons.
Mm-hmm.
But everybody's going to have to step up and do their part.
Yes.
People think that if Trump goes away, this problem goes away. It's not true, because when the people are ready, a leader will arise. They just don't know who that next leader is going to be.
Yeah.
I have a guess, but then we get into conspiracy theories. I'd like to put out on the Texas thing. what we have there more than anything is a legal battle of the 10th Amendment. And, the 10th Amendment deals
Mhm.
with state sovereignty
Yes.
versus federal authority. And
Right.
and Ken Paxton, he's the Attorney General for Texas. He laid it out the other day, and he said that the feds, he's telling the feds they have to prove how they have authority or the right to install buildings within a state park, and specifically identify the constitutionally specify constitutionally how they intend to do that. Because it's Texas property. You don't have any rights to tell us what to do with our property. And Biden might try and nationalize the National Guard, where states will retain, but where states will go to the process of retaining their sovereign power. And so if Biden then goes to the military, it will end up in a constitutional convention. That's what I'm seeing. And it will have an impact on the Union, or the United States, and it's going to wake up a hell of a lot of people in the meantime. So, is the White Hat forcing the feds to do this so they'll wake people up? And then there's the executive order 13484 that's in place to make everybody accountable for the bad decisions that they're making. And so, and if you look at the Brunson case that's currently in the Supreme Court, you'll get an idea of what I'm talking about. And this is also a shot that's going to be heard around the world, and it's going to kick off a revolution in our country. So I don't think we're going to have civil riots, civil war. I think we're going to have a revolution. And the MAGA, from the MAGA perspective, they're trying to do everything legally. They don't want to do anything outside of the law.
Yeah.
And so that's probably why you see the slow motion, is that they're trying to make sure that they're within the law. And one of the toolkits that are using is the law of war. And so if you look through the law of war manual, they're currently at chapter 11, section 3, and that's where they start doing the arrests. And so they're just about at that point within the law of war. And the law of war is like a guideline of how to keep everybody out of jail by trying to push a coup off of our country. So, and I have my opinion of what I think is going to happen next, but I really hate doing any opinion and trying to guess of what's going to happen, because we really don't know, because there's moves and there's counter moves on both sides of the fence. And so
I think if anything happens out of Texas, I think the rest of them are it's going to just be a domino effect from Texas, New Mexico, then Arizona. I don't think California will do anything. But
I think
California, Arizona, New Mexico, and Texas, I think they're going to close their border down.
So you're going to have other states say, hey, look, we're not going to allow these people into our state, and they're going to shut down the entry into the state unless you can prove, that you're an American citizen. If it doesn't say citizen on your driver's license, you don't come into the state. You're going to see that into the future.
Yeah.
It's going to happen under some sort of, War Power Act or something like that within the state. And then you're going to have that worked out in the courts. We're going to see this go step by step as they try to box in these bad behaviors and force them to reconcile what they're doing before the people, so the people can see.
Yeah.
Well, what I see coming next, a lot of things are happening in Texas, but I think that's more of a legal battle than it is a kinetic battle. It might turn kinetic. I'm not sure, but I really don't think, I don't foresee it turning kinetic. I just see that it's going to wake a whole lot of people up of what a totalitarian government we have. So, but I think the event event that's coming for us is not going to be a Texas event. It's going to be an international event. And that's where they're going to talk about a potential of World War III. And that's where I think that's where things are really going to get dicey and everything like that.
William, do you have anything left to say?
I've got pages of stuff, but I think this has been a good program so far.
Well,
And
you know, you got your
next
show
time.
Monday, so boy, you could
Right.
have at it for a while Monday.
Okay.
So I want to thank Larry
Thanks
and
for the opportunity, Elly.
yeah,
Thanks, Larry.
I think we probably could have went on for another hour, but I'm okay for about an hour and then I start having issues. So we got to go about this light. So, but William will have a nice, good full show on Monday. And I'll be kind of sitting off to the side a little bit and we'll see how I feel for a show. So Larry, thank you for jumping in tonight.
Well,
And,
hope I didn't
William.
hope I didn't interrupt anybody's show. So
No, and maybe we'll see a little bit more.
mhm.
We'd appreciate it. So, all right. So, there you have it, everyone. We're going to come back at this slowly. We got to take it easy on my body, my old ticker. So, like I said, things are going to change up a little bit, but get that bell, hit the bell so you're notified of when we have shows. And so, subscribe and share and hit that like button. And we're still fighting the fight for truth. And, of course, we'll be back. So plan on us for Monday. And God bless. And everybody just, what was it, William? You said, try not to fear, because fear is what really messes things up, right?
So use your fear, right, to move forward, but don't panic. Because once you panic, you can't think anymore. Fear you can use to motivate yourself, but panic just wipes that all away. So it's okay to have a little fear, but don't let yourself be panicked.
Yeah. Okay, what a great thing to say for an ending. We will see everyone on Monday, and God bless.
God bless.
Okay, thanks a lot, man. Hey, William. Yeah, Monday, your go for Monday. So, we will just have at it for however long you want. All right. We'll talk soon.